Chapter 22. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep driven away, and hide yourself from them. You shall surely bring them back unto your brother. And if your brother be not nigh unto you, and you know him not, then you shall bring it home to your house, and it shall be with you until your brother require it, and you shall restore it to him. And so shall you do with his ass, so shall you do with his garment, and so shall you do with every lost thing of your brother's, which he hath lost. You have found, you mayest not hide yourself. You shall not see your brother's ass or his ox fallen down by the way, and hide yourself from them. You shall surely help him to lift them up again. A woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For whosoever doeth these things is an abomination unto the Lord your God. If a bird nest chance to be before you in the way, in a tree or on the ground, with young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, you shall not take the dam with the young. You shall in any wise let the dam go, but the young you mayest take unto yourself, that it may be well with you, and that you mayest prolong your days. When you buildest a new house, then you shalt make a parapet for your roof, that you bring not blood upon your house, if any man fall from there. You shall not sow your vineyard with two kinds of seed, lest the fullness of the seed which you have sown be fortified together with the increase of the vineyard. You shall not plow with an ox and an ass together. You shall not wear a mingled stuff, wool and linen together. You shall make you twisted cords upon the four corners of your covering, wherewith you coverest yourself. And any man take a wife, and go in unto her, and hate her, and lay wanton charges against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came nigh to her, I found not in her the tokens of her virginity. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he hath laid wanton charges, saying, I found not in your daughter the tokens of virginity, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the garment before the elders of the city, and the elders of the city shall take the man and chastise him. And they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. But if this thing be true, that the tokens of virginity were not found in the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she hath wrought a wanton deed in Israel, to play the harlot in her father's house. So shall you put away the evil from the midst of you. And if a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, the man that lay with the woman, and the woman. So shall you put away the evil from Israel. If there be a damsel that is a virgin, betrothed unto a man, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then you will bring them both unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So you shall put away the evil from the midst of you. But if the man find the damsel that is betrothed in the field, and the man take hold of her, and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor, and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, the betrothed damsel, cried, and there was none to save her. And if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, that is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. Okay, back up to verse 1. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep driven away, and hide yourself from them. You shall surely bring them back unto your brother. So what it is if you going along in your path and you see your brother's sheep or your neighbor's sheep, and it's got out of the fence, well, you're going to take it back up to the house or the farm and help him get it back into the pasture there where it's got out. Or if it wanders up into your yard in verse 2, and if your brother be not nigh unto you, and you know him not, then you shall bring it home to your house, and it shall be with you until your brother require it. Then you shall restore it to him. So what this is if you find it and you don't know whose it is, then you're going to take it home and take care of it, and until he shows up. And we'll find out in a minute that you should not hide yourself from this matter either. You should make it known in the area that you found something, and you're looking for the owner of it. And so shall you do, verse 3, with his ass, and so shall you do with his garment, and so shall you do with every lost thing of your brother's, which he has lost. And you have found, you mayest not hide yourself. And that's what it's saying here. You mayest not hide yourself. Don't hide this matter. Make it known. Anything you find, no matter what it is, if it's his animal, his clothing, anything he's lost, anything your neighbor's lost, or anything you find, you shall not see your brother's ass or his ox fallen down by the way, and hide yourself from them. You shall surely help him, lift him up again. Today we don't use the ox and the donkey like they used to back then. We have cars, and tractors, and other vehicles that do these work, and we got to be a little more careful than they were back then. I mean, things have changed a lot, and the evilness is really got loose in the world, and we have to be very careful when we stop to help somebody. So today they have cell phones, and a lot of times the best thing you can do is maybe just call for some help for them. But you will not go by and do nothing. God's saying you got in some way help your brother. He's fallen down, and sometimes if he's got a big heavy load, maybe somebody's dropped something. They need a little help picking these things up. Just don't walk on by chuckling and laughing. Sooner or later you're going to drop a load, and you're going to wish you had a little help to pick it up. Verse 5. And we can change subjects here. A woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for whosoever doeth these things is an abomination unto the Lord your God. It's saying is that a woman shouldn't wear a man's clothing, and a man shouldn't wear a woman's clothing. Now, this ain't dressing up for a costume party or nothing. They're doing these things to portray themselves. See, a woman trying to portray herself as a man by wearing a man's clothing, take on the part of a man, and a woman trying to portray herself as a man to take on the part of a man. So God says, don't do this. This is an abomination. Why? Well, if He wanted you to be a woman, He would have made you a woman. If He wanted you to be a man, He would have made you a man. This is an evil in the world. We find this in Sodom and Gomorrah. He's destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, but not for this reason necessarily did He destroy it. It was for many evils that was done in Sodom and Gomorrah. But this is basically what we're talking about here. Some people think it never mentions women. The Bible doesn't mention a woman doing this act. Well, that's not true. It does mention it, and it's right here. That's exactly what it means. Now, if a bird's nest, verse 6, chance to be before you, changing subjects again, in any tree or on the ground with her young ones, and the eggs and the dam, that's the mama bird, sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, you shall not take the dam with the young. So you ain't going to take the mama bird and the eggs and the baby chicks. Verse 7, you shall in any wise let the mama bird go. But the young you mayest take unto yourself, that it may be well with you, and you mayest prolong your days. Well, God, once again, what He's teaching us here is conservation laws. This is an intact government. Once again, government is intact, and this is the conservation laws. You know, God's going to lay out the statutes of morality. He's going to lay out the statutes of our game. He's going to lay out every statute that we're going to need to prosper in this world. This is what the Bible does for us. This is the understanding we can get from the law. See, from the law. Verse 9, you shall not sow your vineyard with two kinds of seed, lest the fullness of the seed which you have sown be fortified together with the increase of the vineyard. And what he's talking about here is the seeds we plant in the vineyard to get the grapevines. You don't plant two kind of vines because they'll cross-pollinate, and the seeds that come from these grapes ain't going to be no good. It's going to lessen the seed, make the seed weak, and plus it produces a grape that's not the grape that you want. Plus, it'll mess up the grape itself. We don't want to bring that kind of grape in and make a wine with it, lest the wine become tainted. Verse 10, and there's a higher understanding here too. This wine actually represents the truth of the Word of God, and we don't need seeds from other teachings coming in, being planted among the teachings that we have, the law, to try to somehow produce a vine that's not true. See, we don't need this mingling in with the wine we receive from God, the new wine, this constant flow of teaching that comes from our staying obedient to the law. See, we don't need this, so we receive this higher understanding as well as the lower, doing the higher and not leaving the lower undone. You shall not plow with an ox and an ass together. Why? They're not equally yoked. And that's what God's teaching us here, is to make sure we yoke things together equally. Obviously, anybody who's ever plowed with a team or done this kind of work would not do this. The ox is so much more powerful than the little donkey. He would just get drug around. He wouldn't be able to pull nothing of his weight, and you'd go in circles. So, and that's what happens when we don't yoke things equally. We end up going around in circles, having to redo it over and over and over, because things are not equally yoked. And from this, we can understand that as we go, we will understand more and more in our life. So we have to be there along each awakening point, ready to give out knowledge, to give out the knowledge necessary for that person to move forward in their life, yoking the truth with the one who that truth applies. You shall not wear a mingled stuff, wool and linen together. God teaching you, I'm separating things here. I'm separating things. If you mingle wool and cotton together in one garment, you're going to get a fabric. Your fabric's going to be of very low quality, and it's not going to perform any way. The wool would be worn for one purpose, and the linen for another. See, we get the linen close to the skin to help absorb the sweat and wick it away, whereas the wool to keep the moisture out and to hold the heat in. So it does no good to mingle these two together. You're not going to get a very good material. God showing us that we have to separate things. See, we have to learn to make a difference in things and understand how to do this. God separates, and we have to learn to do the same. He's trying to teach us a higher understanding. And this garment that you put on, you don't. This garment represents the Word of God, the salvation of God, the protection of God Himself, and we don't mingle that in with the other understandings or the way we serve God according to the way others serve these not a gods. Verse 12, you shall make you twisted cords upon your four corners of the covering, wherewith you coverest yourself. Now these little twisted cords are little bitty like fringes, and they're slightly twisted. It's just about 1.5 inches long. There ain't great big old cords of rope or nothing. And they're put on the four corners, and this was usually about around the openings of the wrists or the legs. And these were for a sign. And of course, this is a little bit fancy clothing that you might see for someone who's a herdsman or something, but that represents a royalty or slightly a higher standard, because this is a symbolism. And this symbolism here, these twisted cords, stand for someone who's been exalted or lifted up, see? And that's why God's commanding you to put these on. Clothes is because you've been exalted, you've been chosen by God, lifted up by the law. Now if any man take a wife, we're changing subject. Now if any man take a wife, verse 13, and go in unto her and hate her, and he lay wanton charges against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came nigh to her, I found not her the tokens of her virginity. So he's saying, when I married her, she wasn't a virgin. Now, back in this days, this was a very important thing, and it should be today. This is something, see, because we have quit teaching the law, we've quit conveying these things to our children. These things get lost. Verse 15, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And these tokens are going to be the garment or the bed sheets which her and her husband, when they consecrated their marriage on after their wedding night, these would be the garments in which they would have had underneath them. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he hath laid wanton charges, saying, I found not in your daughter the tokens of virginity, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the garment before the elders of the city. And the elders of the city shall take the man and chastise him. And that's just where they will whip him. And we're going to get into that just here in a little while, how much they're allowed to whip him. And they do. They whip him. Because the father and the mother, when the daughter and her husband consecrated the marriage, she took this garment, these bed sheets, or the garment that was underneath them, and she delivered them unto her mother, because these were the tokens of her virginity, to show her mom and dad that she had honored their house all her days. So after they took the man out, because he's lied about her, see, he's lied about his wife. And the elders of the city shall take the man and chastise him, and they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all his days. See, he come and tried to put her away and divorce her, saying she wasn't a virgin. Her mother and fathers brought out the garments, the proof that she was, and she's honored her mother and father. They've proved their case. They've punished him. They've chastised him. They've fined him 100 shekels of silver, and this amount has been paid to the father. This wanton charge is not only against his daughters, but been brought back to his father's house. Because, see, his father should have been teaching his daughter, and he did, correctly, in the ways. And we find that because he did, that this has fell back upon the man who lied about his wife. But if this thing be true, verse 20, that the tokens of virginity were not found in the damsel, that they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she hath worked a wanton deed in Israel, to play the harlot in her father's house, so shall you put away the evil from the midst of you. And what this is saying now, if she's not a virgin, if this is the true matter, and they couldn't produce these garments, that she has went out and she has actually had done this deed, then it be true that they're to take her out and stone her until she die. Of course, today we don't stone her, but we should scold heavily, because she should have known this truth. But today we're not teaching these things, and how can we hold someone for this when we're not teaching our children these things? See, we have to teach the truth, and we have to teach it to the children. We can't let them go out and figure it out on their own, because somebody's going to teach them the bad way. So we have to do these things first. 22, we're going to change subject again. And if a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, the man and that lay with the woman, and the woman, so shall they be put away evil from Israel. Now we're talking about adultery here. We're talking about somebody's come in and found a married woman laying with a man. This works both ways. So shall you put away the evil from Israel, because this is a violation of the commandments directly here, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now we're going to change subjects again. Now if there be a damsel that is a virgin betrothed unto a man, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, 24, then you shall bring them both out of the gate of the city, and you shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel, because she cried not behind the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So shall you put away the evil from the midst of you. And what we're talking about here is this damsel, a virgin, who's betrothed. She's promised to a man to be married to him, and some other man has come. He's took a hold of her. They're inside the city. He's raping her. He's raped her, and you get a hold of them both and bring them out and stone them till they die. Why? When he's raping her, because she didn't scream out and cry for help. So you better be fighting back, is what this is teaching. You should be fighting back. That way your case is proof evident, because you got to have two witnesses under their law, see? And your witness ain't going to be strong enough. So you got to have the case sealed up. So you're going to have to fight back. And you should be fighting back. This is a horrible crime. We're going to get into this here in a minute. Verse 25, but if a man find the damsel that is betrothed in the field or out in the country, and he takes hold of her, and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter. 27, for he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. And what the insinuation is, see, she was crying for help. She did fight back, and there wasn't nobody around to help her. This is rape. And what's it say in 26? That this is the same as murder to God. See, this is the same as murder. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slays him. See, even so is this matter. And this is how this matter should be dealt with. And we know what's required. It's a life for a life. In the day, we don't do this. We don't punish this crime strictly enough. This crime's not punished. And this is a horrible crime. We should never violate another individual. We ain't even allowed to touch other people, see, technically. And without their permission, you're not allowed to touch somebody. You can't just come up and put your hands on people. You have to have permission to touch people. 28. And if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, that is not betrothed, she's not promised to another man, and he lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, and this is still a crime. See, this is still a crime. Then the man that lays with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. So he can't put her away. There'll be no divorce here. He's humbled this woman. This is not a fitting punishment according to today's standard, but at this time, see, this is the way they did things. We don't even allow this today. This is what we refer to today. We call this date rape. So this is not allowable. We have to teach our children to do better than this. See, if you teach them better, they'll do better. God will prosper them all the way. All right, we're going to move on. Chapter 23.